This is the story of George Sauer. Drafted in 1965 by his father, George Sauer Sr., the Jets' chief scout at the time, George Jr. rocketed to AFL stardom. A three-time All-Pro, he was dubbed the receiver's receiver.
We had quick ways of breaking a pattern and giving a signal here and there, and George was brilliant at that.
He was as good as anybody ever played. I mean, how much more do you need to do?
In the spotlight of Super Bowl III, Sauer shined, setting a Super Bowl record for receiving. But while the cheers could still be heard, George Sauer left pro football at the age of 27.
I've always thought it was a shame from the pro football sense that George retired when he did, because if he had stayed and had a full career, I think he'd be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame today.
After nearly 30 years, the case of Sauer's retirement is open again.
I did wake up one day and realized I couldn't play football anymore. And it was in January, the end of January, after we'd gotten back from the Super Bowl. For reasons that have taken me a long time to try to unravel, I lost all motivation. I didn't want to play the next season.
Sauer did play 2 more seasons, but finally, in 1971, he walked away. It seemed for reasons he expressed in an article written for the Newark Star-Ledger. He was one of a group of ex-players who became critics of pro football. But his reasons went deeper.
The first thing was that I was given a scholarship to the University of Texas when I was born. My father was played at University of Nebraska under D.X. Bible, and D.X. Bible was the athletic director at University of Texas when I was born. He sent a letter to my dad and said, we'll have a uniform waiting for him in 1961. I mean, he got the date right and the year right and everything. When I finally decided on the University of Texas, my mother brings out this letter that's 17 years old and shows it to me. It was as though something were driving me from behind to do these things, and actually, I think that was the first thing. The memory of that letter has stayed with me because I think that was important in my eventual retirement. I was trying to find my own way. I didn't always want to be my father's son. I wanted to be not George Jr., but I wanted to be myself.
To be himself, George turned to writing.
I think Norman Mailer said, sometime you discover truth at the end of your pen. So some ways writing is discovering something. It's a way of bringing something out of yourself that's truth about yourself, that might be truth about the world. So I did write a novel, and nobody liked it, and it was a little dense. I had to work on my style and work on some ideas, and finally I think I have them in shape, but it took me many, many years to do that, and I just needed to get away from football and find a new direction.
But the ultimate truth of George Sauer's retirement goes deeper still, all the way back to the locker room after Super Bowl III.
My dad was there, we shook hands. He said thanks, I said thanks. I don't know exactly what it was we're thanking each other for.
In this moment, George Sauer was set free.
I think all of us have a need to feel as competent as the person who is our example in life. Well, I think I had finally done that because my dad had played in an NFL championship game in 1936 with the Green Bay Packers, and they had won the game. That was 32 years prior to that, and 1936, 1968 seasons. And I realized I didn't have anything more to prove in football.
This is not to say that number 83 in any way regrets his playing days.
I really enjoyed pro football. I enjoyed catching passes, running patterns. I love the mental part of the game. I'm not really out of it because I'm writing about sports. I'm trying to make sense of sports. Maybe it was necessary for me to do that, to develop a couple of ideas that I have and finally get them out and throw that into the throw that into the river and see where it goes.